Ramsey, Dr. Gardner. Welcome.
What's going on? I'm glad I'm here.
Welcome. I'm so excited that you were able to join. I know it was kind of last minute. We're trying to get all the experts in here and do our own little. I want to give a little background about you. For those who do not know, Dr. Gardner is a medical doctor in the state of California, and he has created a company where he partners with nurses and nurse practitioners and supporting them with launching their own aesthetic practices. And you have been a physician, and I'll let you just give a little intro about your background as a physician and then kind of segue that into your role in partnering with nurses.
Yeah, so again, thanks for having me. I'm an internal medicine trained physician. I have been doing internal medicine for about 4 years out of residency now. But about 2 years out of residency, I started kind of realizing that there was this other path in aesthetics, injections, and all kinds of things you can do in a med spa. I have a different type of, I guess I say, sheen to it than, people who are already really chronically ill that I see on a regular basis in internal medicine. So that's what kind of got me into this space and trying to create a different kind of reality, I guess, for people who are trying to get into it, whether it be doctors or nurses.
Love it. And you said you've been a physician for how long?
So a physician, med school was about 10 years ago, something crazy, I think. But residency, you have to go through residency and all the things. So residency was 4 years-ish ago.
Okay, so you now partner with nurses, and tell us a little bit about like the name of your company and exactly what you are doing.
So my company's name is Collaborative Aesthetic Partners. So I really right now have been focusing on medical directorship, but the overall goal of the company in general is to get nurses, nurse practitioners, and physicians to be able to connect and collaborate in order to create their own med spa, their own business, be entrepreneurs together. I feel like it can almost be a bit adversarial, the relationship between doctors and nurses, almost. But I like the idea of kind of removing that, some of the stigmas that we have surrounding our respective specialties, and then also being able to work together to kind of create something different for our patients. So that's what the idea of the company is. Eventually, I would like it to be a really easy, simple way for both parties to get into aesthetics.
I love that. And so essentially you're partnering with nurses who are looking to enter into this space and working with them. And do they have to have a certain amount of experience, or where do they need to be on their journey before they start working with you?
So usually it's newer nurses that people who are starting out in aesthetics, trying to open their own spa, but people who have also done their own homework in regards to, they've already done some courses on how to inject Botox, how to open their own business. They've already kind of had a business mindset about things, and they're taking it seriously as a business. So that would be who I'm looking to work with. So if they're just kind of fresh out of getting their RN or NP, and this is kind of still a maybe, then I would want them to kind of tease things out and get some training in space before we start working together.
Are you willing to work with those who may have more experience? Maybe they've even worked as an injector and are looking to partner with you.
Yeah, that's an easier path in some ways as well. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first question I have for you is, there are many aspiring owners, and they're really unsure about how to even find a medical director. Like they may watch this live and they're like, oh, he seems great, but like, how do I find him either in my state or wherever I am? So I want you to give a couple of actionable steps that you think nurses and nurse practitioners should take who are looking to work with a medical director or collaborating physician.
So yeah, I think it's a big hurdle that people have to jump. And the thing is, a lot of times they end up being friends with or work with the doctor next to them. And sometimes they try to get that person to be their medical director, which is something that could work out if you're kind of using a business mindset, business approach with it. You really just want to find someone who's interested in this. That's the thing I spend my free time thinking about this and figuring out how I can fit into the space. They're willing to really try to understand what this is on their own volition. But if you feel like you're like dragging someone through it, I don't know if that would be the best situation to be in, because they kind of want it for themselves.
I love that you said that, because that's funny. That's something that I always talk to my mentees about, is like, you have to approach this as a business. You would not ask a physician considering partnering with to do you a favor. It's not a favor. You have to present yourself
Yeah.
as a business. And so for me, what I tell them is the best thing to do is work on you. Create that
Mhm.
portfolio, have that business plan, make it so that it's so tight that they would look crazy to not be willing to work with you, because you
Yeah.
have done all the back end and you've done all the homework. I want to kind of demystify this whole medical director collaborating physician.
Mhm.
But something I was just realizing that I was saying, Dr. Gardner, is I was talking about medical directors versus collaborative physician. And I want to make sure everyone knows the difference, because that those terms sometimes are used interchangeably and they are different. So you guys, if you are an RN
Yeah.
and you need a medical director, that is different from if you're a nurse practitioner or a PA, because you are then a provider already. So you need more of an oversight or supervisory role for your medical doctor in some states. That is what we call a collaborative position. So if
Exactly.
you're an RN, you need a medical director, because you are not able to practice medicine as an RN, but as an NP or PA, you can technically practice medicine. But however, you do need some oversight, and that happens in certain states. So I just want to clarify that. What qualities or credentials should a nurse or nurse practitioner prioritize? What should they look for in a medical director that you would say could ensure a successful partnership?
So yeah, I mean, obviously you need an MD or DO.
Right.
You need one of those two. But then also outside of that, you just want to make sure somebody's been doing trainings. And so even if you're thinking to do more procedures, there's always a level of risk to whatever you're doing. So if anything came up, you would want to be able to defend yourself, and they want to be able to defend their license and say, hey, I've done training here. I know what's going on. This happened, but it wasn't because I just had no clue what was
Mhm.
going on.
That's a missing piece of the understanding of why you need a medical director. The whole point is you as a nurse cannot practice medicine. So I think there's just that disconnect, which is what I try to provide a solution for on my platform, like just to educate. So my next question
Hmm.
is, people are nervous about cost. They don't
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if I can even afford to bring on a medical director. I know every state is different, every medical director or collaborator is different. What would be the insight that you would give based on your experience with working with nurses and nurse practitioners?
Yeah, I think the risk does get missed, because if you look at it, at the end of the day, on the medicine side of the house, you have a professional company that the physician is majority owner. That's that's standard. That's law. It's how it has to be. And what that basically means is that the practice of medicine portion of things is owned by the physician. So they have to answer to the state if things go wrong. They have to be accountable. And that's kind of really the biggest thing that you're paying for. Big thing that you're paying for is mitigation of risk.
Mm.
You have to go to these third parties and hope that they gave you enough so that you feel like your risk has been mitigated. But as a risk averse society, physicians in general, we don't like to take risks. That's literally how we practice medicine. You make sure, A, that you're being safe to the patient, B, that you're being fair to the patient and safe to the patient. And then there is the whisper of C, make sure you are covering all your bases so that
Mhm.
nobody can say you missed something. As the doctor, the state's expecting you to go and look the stuff up and get as comfortable as you can with this stuff, because you are at risk when the gavel hits, and you have to try to better yourself in the space and get knowledge up for that.
How is it working with nurses and nurse practitioners? What are some things that you've learned about us working and partnering with us in business?
I have a group of nurses that I work with right now, and they're all so ambitious, and I love it, because they're what it is we're like-minded. I can just feel like I really enjoy that they're going off the beaten path. When I work with nurses who are doing aesthetics, they're already ready to go with the idea that they can do something outside of what the machine's telling them they will have and what they can do, and they're just trying to figure out how. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing. So that's the cool part about it, and I love seeing them figure it out little by little and create.
So why did you decide to partner versus hire? Because I've had
Yeah,
that happen where people in my community have reached out to potential medical directors and they are under the understanding that, hey, this is my business and I want to bring you in to partner with me. But then they find out that these doctors are like trying to find a way to make them an employee and they're like, no,
yeah.
that's not what I'm doing. So what made you come from that perspective of partnership versus like, oh, I'm just going to find some nurses to work for me?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts about that because I think partnership creates a sense of ownership,
Mhm.
and that's how
Right.
you get somebody to really, really not only give the patient the best result, but also feel proud about the system that they're in, right?
Yeah.
And then the other reason on that is because when I started looking into this, you were super helpful. I came to you like, what is going on? I'm trying to get in space. Like,
Yeah.
but that was because it was so hard to find any type of piece of morsel of information. Like
Yeah.
everybody was trying to get me for, $5 on a minute and, on a second, really. And I want to make that easier for people. That's all I want
Yeah.
to do, is just
Yeah.
focus on how to make this easy because it's not easy and nobody's out there doing that. Okay, I got my business.
Agreed. I love that. I love that perspective too. And I think that's why your nurses who you partner with are so happy working with you because you are different than the rent my license, but you really are involved. You guys make sure you follow Dr. Gardner because you can see on his page he goes and visit his nurse partners who are nurses and nurse practitioners who own their practices. That gets them really invested and it gives you a sense of like I'm doing something right too. And I think people don't, it's not talked about enough, but to have someone who believe in you
Yeah.
enough to partner with you, to show up at your openings, and that feels great, right? Especially it being your medical director. So I think that the value of that is often missed. And I feel like that's your unique angle that a lot of these other companies just don't have. I would like for those of who are either attending this live or watching the replay to be able to contact you at
Yeah.
Collaborative Aesthetic Partners, you guys. So make sure you go ahead and follow Dr. Gardner. And then if you guys are seeking a medical director right now, he is in the state of California. But you do have a lot of knowledge, not just about California, but general knowledge about, medical directorships. Dr. Gardner, any last words or anything you want to say before we head out to those who are thinking about getting into this space?
I say just dream big and take the path that's unbeaten, the unbeaten path. Don't be
Yes.
afraid of it and double down on yourself.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Gardner. I appreciate you for
Thank
showing
you.
up
Thanks for
for
having me.
us. Until next time, you guys. Bye.
Bye.